That same topic, it's been nearly a week since the Minnesota Department of Human Services announced the end to their Housing Stabilization Services program after discovering credible allegations of fraud. Since its inception, the program's growth and costs have exploded. The Star Tribune reporting recently that when the bill created the program passed in 2017, analysts expected the cost to be about $2.6 million a year. But by 2024, the cost was $107 million, with more than 700 companies taking part. It has sparked a further discussion about fighting fraud when it comes to our Minnesota state programs. Here with us to provide more reaction and insight into this program closure is Minnesota House Speaker Lisa Damoth. Speaker Damoth, appreciate you taking the time to join us here on First Alert at 4. What was your initial reaction to the department's decision to shut down this housing program, and who do you think bears responsibility?
Well, good afternoon, Ryan. Good to talk with you on this very, very important topic. You know, when we first heard about the decision by DHS to shut down the housing stabilization services because of fraud, two things came to mind. Again, more fraud in Minnesota. Very, very frustrating for the taxpayers of Minnesota because they are tired of funding fraud. The second thing that came to mind, though, is for those people that are not committing fraud, that actually depend on these services and need this help. They are now potentially going to be penalized by the decisions of bad actors and the fact that we have let fraud go on rather than preventing it from the first place.
And what guardrails do you think could prevent this from happening again in the future? Or what do you think specific actions would you like to see the legislature take in response to these major instances of fraud that we have been seeing in the news lately?
You know, I think the important thing to recognize is that we have to have those guardrails of verifying eligibility for the services. And even if that takes possibly a little bit longer, maybe we need to look at the employees that are doing that work. Are they properly employed in those departments to prevent fraud in the first place? People that are eligible should have a fairly easy time getting into the programs that are available. Again, we need to learn from the things in the past. The Office of Legislative Auditor has over and over in different areas of fraud, different departments and agencies within the state government has said that there's a lack of internal controls. That is one of the first things that we should address going forward. It's also important, Ryan, to remember that at the end of this legislative session in May, there was a bipartisan bill for an Office of Inspector General here at the state level that was passed in the Senate, but we couldn't get it through the House. That is a bill that the governor had said, pass the bill, put it on my desk, and I will sign it. But we couldn't even get it through the full legislature. That's something that we should definitely be taking a look at when we return in February, is that Office of Inspector General.
And Speaker Damoth, sadly, a number of bad actors can ruin programs like these for the people that actually need it, the Minnesotans who actually need it. How do you balance protecting taxpayer dollars while also ensuring that the most vulnerable Minnesotans aren't left without assistance now?
Again, it's preventing fraud from the very start. It has taken years for this current administration to even admit the fact that we do have record fraud and it needs to be stopped. We in the House have the Fraud Prevention and Agency Oversight Committee, Republican chair, Republican majority. They are moving through in different policies and ideas, bringing those to the full House and hopefully being able to be passed by the legislature. But we do balance the fact that we have to prevent fraud in the first place rather than just claim victory when there's prosecutions later.
Minnesota House Speaker Lisa Damoth joining us on First Alert at 4. Speaker Damoth, appreciate your time and for chatting with us on this Friday.
Thank you for this time, Ryan.